Welcome. Merry Christmas, and we're heading into the new year now. But I've been off. I have taken some time off YouTube, which, to be honest, it's been warranted. I've needed to, and so I wanted to jump on here today because, to be honest, I do miss doing live streams and I do miss engaging with you guys. And so this will probably be the last one before we enter into the new year. And I just wanted to kind of just hang out and just talk and, yeah, see how everyone's doing. I hope everyone had a really good Christmas break. And I hope everyone's looking forward to 2023 as well. A lot has happened in 2022. And obviously, a lot of people will probably be looking at things thinking, oh, just want a new start and just wanting to get into the new year. But I think, let's just take some time to reflect on 2022. I think it's important sometimes. Let me just say hello to a few people in here. Maggie's in here. Anna, welcome. Guy Coma, how you doing? Guy Coma, how do you pronounce that? Is that Italian? I think that might be Italian, maybe. How you doing, guys? Look, thanks so much for joining. I don't have any particular kind of thing to talk about today. I do want to touch on a couple of things, to be honest, but there's a lot of stuff that I do want to talk about, which I can't talk about just yet because a lot of it hasn't been finalized, and I've still got to hold off on some of the details. And one thing's actually quite exciting. I've been working my arse off on it for the past, it feels like 2 months now. And it's finally coming to fruition. It's finally getting to that point where, yeah, I can make the announcement. It's going to be out and it will be out into the world. And it's a massive, massive, massive cherry on top of a really lovely cake already. But as always, look, Italian and Italian. Okay, cool. Yeah, and so look, I miss doing live streams. I've not done one for a while, so I just thought we can hang out here and just have a little chat. As you're probably going to see in the next few weeks or so, there'll be some changes across everything I'm doing, and this is probably where I need to kind of level with you guys. This account has been going for 3 years now, so yeah, January the 7th will be 3 years for the YouTube channel. And if I'm honest, I've mentioned this before, I'm kind of in this point at the moment where it's kind of like, okay, I want to kind of, I don't know, I want to do something new. I just don't know what that thing is just yet. And there's a little bit of trepidation on my part because if I change too much too quickly, then I risk alienating you guys who are on the stream right now, who have helped the channel grow, who have always been here. But at the same time, I feel like if I don't try and do something new, it just kind of gets stagnant. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I feel like I'm just rooted in one place, not really doing something that I guess excites me or maybe keeps things interesting for me as someone who does this on a daily basis. Obviously, there's quite a lot that has happened in 2022, and I did an Instagram post I think it was about a week and a half ago, just going back over 2022. And again, it's been an amazing year. This year has been better than 2021, and very much a surprise, to be honest. There's been so much that's happened from doing more TV stuff, and I'm going to continue to do more TV stuff next year, with a lot of stuff that I can't announce yet, which I'll be announcing at some point in the new year. There's a lot going on, and I'm thankful for the fact that we've been on this journey together and everything. But I feel like I want to broaden out the conversation to other topics, and share a little bit more around what this journey has been like for me. So, look, when we first started this channel, it was all about reviews of apps to get people investing, which is great. I don't mind doing those. We'll still work with some reviews and with some brands, and it's been concentrated on investment markets and investing and getting people the foundations, the things that they need to know. I think that's still fundamentally going to be part of what I do because I have an innate interest in those things. However, I think that when we talk about money specifically, like there are lots of things around the periphery of money that also influence what we do with money and how we interact with money, how we relate with money. And I want to talk a little bit more about those things. I'm also acutely aware that a lot of the content here on the channel is good if you're in a position where you're earning decent money, right? You need to have money to be able to know what to do with it, which is where the content basically comes in. But what happens if you are in a position where you want to earn more money? You want to, start businesses and stuff. And I over the past 3 years, I've been able to build my business from just being a YouTube channel and a podcast to the position where over the past 2 years, I've been able to turn over £100,000 a year for 2 years straight now. There are lessons within that from a business point of view, and I want to share a little bit more of that with people. Bring you guys on the journey a little bit more around what it's actually like hosting a YouTube channel and hosting a podcast, and how I'm dealing with, dealing with some of the TV stuff. Like, I get a lot of people say, like, it's amazing it's happened, but it's like behind the scenes, behind the scenes has been, yeah, it's been something. Like, it looks like it's all cool and it's all like, easy, plain sailing, but trust me, it's not. It really, really isn't. And I want to share a little bit more of that because I think the journey is one thing. You guys have witnessed the journey. You've seen the channel from the first video to now, the end of this year, having done so much on TV and being mentioned so much in across media, radio, newspapers. You've seen all of that, but you've not necessarily seen the journey. And I think the real lessons, the real nuggets, the real, I guess, benefit is actually in the journey. So I want to share a little bit more of that. I'll be completely honest. The issue that I have is I'm an introvert, which doesn't seem possible given the fact that I do YouTube and I do TV and I've got a podcast. You would think I'm a really kind of like outgoing person. I'm not. I'm actually an introvert. I'm actually quite laid back, too laid back sometimes, and I like to be the quiet one in the room. I step back, and how I get to be the way I am now on a live stream and doing things on TV is very, very different to the way my natural personality sits. It's very, very different. And so maybe sharing a little bit of that would be useful because I'm sure, I am absolutely certain that there'll be people who watch the channel or people who will be interacting with the channel at some point, either in the future or have done in the past, who may have very, very similar personalities to me, who may be looking at, okay, I want to do this, but I'm not too sure how to do it. That may be able to take some form of inspiration for what I've been able to do. And that's really the crux of it. Yes, it's to help people invest, to help people to create wealth. It's to help people, have healthy financial habits to build for the future. But also that's quite holistic. And I want to look at the more holistic things on the channel as well. And like I said, I don't know how this is going to go. It might go horribly. It might go really, really well. I guess you guys will be the ones to help me judge that. But that's kind of what I'm thinking in the new year. We're going to be talking more about mental health. I'm really, really interested in speaking about that from a man's point of view, and this isn't, I don't want to be confused with, the red pill piece. That's something else, right? But what I do want to talk about is the pressures that men often feel in terms of the things that men need to achieve when it comes to finances, in terms of the pressure that you feel as a man, that mental health. I think it's very, very well documented that guys don't speak about how we feel that much. And we find it difficult. It's definitely got better, and it is getting better because people are more open to these conversations, but we definitely need to have more of those conversations. It feels as though, certainly in the social media age, there's a lot of pressure on young men who watch this channel who feel as though they've got to do this, they've got to do that. And I think it's really, really important that I can use this platform to talk about those issues and hopefully add my experience to it as well, because my journey is such that there are certain things that even now as a older man I've not necessarily spoken about, not really processed as much, and that has had a negative impact across my journey. So if I can prevent someone else from experiencing those kind of things, that would be great. I want to talk more about entrepreneurship, starting a business, building a business, certainly online, because I think my experience is very, very transferable to that. I want to talk about a whole host of stuff. And so this is what I've been struggling with. I've been struggling with, and I've been thinking about this now for almost a year. I've been struggling with whether I should change the name of the channel from Conversation of Money to my name. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you would have maybe noticed that the handle of the channel has changed to my name, but the channel name is still Conversation of Money. Now, there are two issues here. Well, the first one is the biggest one of all. Obviously, there are lots of scammers who get in the comment section, try to pretend to be me. I've got that on Instagram. I've got it all over social media right now. The fear is, and this is what I don't want to happen, I don't want to get rid of or replace Conversation of Money with my name, vacate that name, then have a scammer that is able to essentially replicate the account and scam people, and people not know any better because it's the old channel name. It looks and it sounds like me because they might be able to just download videos and re-upload them. I'm certainly having that on Instagram, and I've had that quite a lot this year. It's very, very, very frustrating. So what I'm thinking of is subtle changes to the name, subtle changes to the way the channel essentially looks, subtle changes to the content that basically comes out. We will still talk about investing, but it's going to be mixed in with a load of other stuff as well. I will be doing more live streams in the new year, purely because from a live stream point of view, it is easier for me to manage. I don't necessarily have to plan. Well, I do have to plan, but I don't have to edit and worry about all of that stuff. That takes hours, hours upon hours. So that will make it a little bit easier. And I've learned through certainly November. So the channel, because I've not really done anything, the channel has kind of like died off in December, but certainly through November was my best month for views across the channel. The entire year, actually, if I'm honest, we hit about 110,000 views for the month. Typically, my run rate is around about 40, 50, maybe 60,000 if I'm really, really lucky. We were able to do significantly more in November, and that was a byproduct of the live stream. So I feel as though you guys like it. So I'll continue to do that. It will be mixed in with proper recorded, edited videos as well. But these are some of the changes that I know are going to come along in the new year. And I'm not just making these changes across the YouTube channel, I'm also making those changes across the podcast as well. The podcast is going to branch out in terms of the topics. The artwork on the podcast is going to change different completely as well. It's going to have my name more at the forefront. You still have conversation of money in the subtext, but it's going to be my name. It's going to be my podcast, the Peter Komalafi podcast, Conversation of Money, right? We're working on the artwork for that already. Branding is going to change across the channel. It's going to change across Instagram. It's going to change across my website as well. The conversationofmoney.com website is essentially going to be redirected to my new website, which will be peterkomalafi.com. And within that website, there will be a ton of tools. I've got people building me tools at the moment that people can download. There's going to be a lot of stuff on the new website, essentially. But that's still being built. It probably won't be ready until the middle of Jan, maybe back end of January, roughly, is what I'm hearing at the minute, working with the agency who are doing all that stuff. I'm doing all this stuff really to kind of freshen things up and to try and be a little bit more accessible to people. It's not just about the videos, but actually after you've watched me, can you download something? Can you grab something that will actually help you take that next step? And so that's what I'm thinking for the new year. And this Christmas period, being off, not doing anything. Well, I would say not doing anything. I've been working on a project which I'll announce in the new year. But being able to take the time off, not thinking about doing streams or doing videos, has been extremely helpful in terms of just getting my head right, trying to decide what's going to happen in the new year and how I want to take it. And that's just really some news for you guys. But I just have to say, thank you so much for everything in 2022. It's been one hell of a journey, man. It really, really has. And there's been multiple points this year where I've had to kind of like stand there, pinch myself and be like, whoa, how have I managed to do all of this stuff? And the reality is, I wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of you guys. Um, yeah, it's been mad. And I just want to encourage you guys as well that, if you're taking stock of 2022, what will be the highlight? What are the things that you'll be really, really thankful, things that have happened that have been a surprise to you? What are those things? I think gratitude is really, really important. It's how we are able to just take a moment and appreciate where we've come from. And for me, gratitude and just taking those moments allow me to kind of take a sense check, right? Because you'll probably feel this, right? And it's natural we do this as human beings. We get stuck into a routine. We are so driven to do certain things that all we're doing is we're looking forward, looking forward, looking forward, looking forward. And what we sometimes forget to do is just stop, look back, and see how much progress we've made. And it's always a great reminder, because for me, when I take a moment just to practice gratitude and look backwards, I'm like, okay, I've come a very, very long way. And it gives you confidence to be able to push forward to something that you may think is unattainable. And I encourage everybody to do it every single year. And if you've not done it so far this year, you should, definitely before 2023, especially if you're looking to set goals in 2023. And that's another thing that I do want to talk about. So I set goals every single year, and I was reviewing my goals. I was reviewing my goals a week and a half ago, and there were two goals that I had. One of them I can share. So at the beginning of this year, I wrote down in my planner. I wrote on there, because I knew that I was doing secret spenders in the new year in January. I wrote in the first goal was to have a regular TV slot in 2022. I didn't know how that was going to happen. I didn't know what I needed to do to make it happen. But in my head, I was like, okay, look, I'm going to do secret spenders. I've never done any TV before. So what I want to do is make sure that I give the best that I can on that show, build great relationships, and then see where it goes from there. And I ended up speaking to Paul C. Brunson. He does Married at First Sight, Celebs Go Dating. He did a online workshop with me in 2021. You guys may remember it if you followed me on Instagram. We had this 2-day marathon. We had like a 2-day marathon. We spoke about investing, business, and Paul Brunson came on as a business consultant. We stayed in contact. And so when I knew that I was doing secret spenders, I was like, I don't know anybody else who looks like me who's on TV. And oftentimes, being from where I'm from, I want to make sure that I make the best impression possible. And so I reached out to him. He gave me a few tips. We've kept in touch ever since. But he was a great I want to say mentor almost, to really giving me some sound advice, like make sure you do this, make sure you do this. And some of the stuff he told me was like, I didn't understand it until much later on, but it was invaluable insights that he gave me, invaluable tips. And so after Secret Spenders came out in like April, May, we did Lorraine, which was great, but that was a very, very short stint. And I was very, very quickly looking for something else to do. Like I want to get a regular slot. Changed agents, got a new agent, and then Steps Back Lunch came through at the back end of the summer, and I did that stint all the way up until Christmas. I'll be going back in the new year, January to March, so that's a great thing. But that was my first goal in 2022, and that was a goal that I thought was way too big. AA, thank you so much for this. Let me just shout you out here. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. Yeah. It was the big goal. The second big goal is done. And again, I can't announce this until the new year, but it is a big accomplishment. In 2020, I was like, if I ever get to do this, that would be amazing. It's happening. I've actually just sent it off literally half an hour ago. It is happening. We have a date for it to be released. I'll be able to tell you guys in the new year once I've sat down with the guys and We've got a meeting on January 4th. But, it's been an amazing journey. So if you haven't taken stock, you haven't taken, a moment to think about your year this year, please do so. You may think that you've not achieved a lot, but when you look back, I promise you, you will feel so differently and you'll be filled with so much confidence moving forward. And for me, this year in 2023, I'm going to be setting new goals. And because goals are so important and I want to start helping people a little bit more, I actually want people to set their goals with me for 2023. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be running a workshop. I only want 20 people in this group where we are basically going to set goals together for 2023. Now, the purpose of that is I will go through how I set my goals, how I make it so that it's something that I can track, I can record, I can monitor, I can actually make sure that I'm taking tangible steps to get there. Because that's the problem with a lot of goals. People don't necessarily know how to go about actually setting them properly and being accountable for them. So I want to create a group where there's going to be about 20 of us where we set our goals for 2023 together. It's going to be about a 90-minute workshop, essentially. We're going to set it together. And then we're going to talk about something that's very, very important when you set goals: accountability. A lot of people don't achieve their goals because they don't have this accountability buddy or accountability circle. And I'm a big, big believer. If you followed me on Instagram in 21, you know that I did a weekly accountability circle with my then accountability buddy, Polina, right? Great. That really kept me accountable. I didn't have one this year, but I luckily am able to keep myself accountable to my goals. So for the 20 of us that end up in this workshop, it will be about, right, how can we set up an accountability circle, an accountability buddy system where all 20 of us hold ourselves accountable to the goals that we share and the goals that we set at the beginning of the year in January. I've put it on there in the diary for when I think it's the 24th. And the reason why I've gone for the back end of January in opposed to the beginning of January is because naturally at the beginning of the year, people are always filled with so much enthusiasm about the new year and New Year's resolutions and all this kind of stuff. I don't want to get caught up in the hype. I want people to be able to really take a considered look at what goals they want to achieve, what's really important in 2023, what do they want to document, what do they want to commit to. You're going to have to put some real thought into it. And then on January, let me just check the date quickly. Yeah, on January 24th, it's going to be in the evening. It's a Tuesday. It's going to be in the evening between 7 and 8:30. We're going to get together and we're going to talk. We're going to set these goals together and we're going to talk about an accountability circle. So I haven't figured out how the accountability circle will work just yet. It might be something we do on, I don't know, via WhatsApp, and we check in with each other on a week-to-week basis. And then we might have a Zoom call every month, right? Just to see that we're making progress towards those goals. But I would absolutely love for you guys to join me on that call. If you wanted to join and you're setting goals, it doesn't have to be for business goals. It can be personal goals. It could be anything at all. But if you are in business, you are an entrepreneur, you're running your own thing, and you want to be able to have that accountability circle, I think it could be really, really valuable. I'll try and find the link. This is what I'm really, really bad at, and I'm so disorganized asking people to do things like this. But I will put the link in the chat and maybe in the comment section after this is finished, just to invite you to come along if you want to come along. If you do, it will be great to see you there. It'll be great to set some goals. It'll be great to at the end, this time next year in 2023 for us to be able to get together and say, right, how did we do? Did we actually make progress? Did we actually hit some of those goals that we set? I believe that if you set 5 or 6 goals and you hit 4 of them, that's still a success. If you set 5 goals and one of them is this big, unrealistic, this hairy, audacious goal, this BHAG, and you hit that for me is blind, like stupid success. And that's what this year has been for me. The 2 BHAG goals that I had, one was the TV, regular slot on TV, then the other, which I can't announce because I've got to wait until the new year. Those were my BHAG goals. Those were my big, hairy, audacious goals. Like, if this happened, that would be it. I achieved those 2 things. I had sub goals underneath that. also hit those, but not 100%. One of them was around turnover. I'm about 10% off my target, but I'm still an improvement on what happened in 2021. So actually, it's still a win. And so I think those things are important to keep people accountable. But it will be great to have you on the call in the workshop if you wanted to join. I'll find the link and post it a bit later on. I can't do it right now because otherwise, actually, hang on a second. Let me just see if I can multitask. 1 second. There we go. There we go. It's in the chat right there. So if you do want to join, there's still some spaces left. We only want 20 people in there. Please do feel free to join. But yeah, I've had to take time off. I've enjoyed the time off. It's been very, very weird because I'm a workaholic, and I have to be doing something to keep myself busy. But it's also been nice to just relax. We would normally be in Dubai, but this year it wasn't feasible. Like, things in Dubai just got stupidly expensive for some reason. And it was definitely more money than I was willing to spend for a Christmas getaway. And we had to do something different anyway this year. And we did. But it's been nice to just step away from YouTube and step away from the podcast for what is going to end up being something like 3.5 weeks, just to get my head right for the new year, and to, I guess, consolidate what I want to do in 2023. And I hope, fingers crossed, you guys will still be on the journey with me into 2023. Things will change. So I'm sure that there'll be people who watch the channel, who follow the channel, that may not necessarily be happy with some of the changes that will come along. I apologize, but I feel like we need to push things. We need to push the envelope. We need to expand a little bit the things that we talk about. The core of the channel will still remain the same, but I just want to bring a little bit more of the things that I'm interested in outside of the investing, and outside of money habits that I care about. I love traveling, and I recorded the whole episode of driving over through Stelvio Pass, France, going into Lake Como, Lake Garda. Recorded the entire thing. There's probably about 250 gigs worth of footage that I've still not had a look at, that I need to post to the channel. But what stopped me is it the right thing to post, given the fact that the channel is called Conversation of Money? People expect investment content, market content. Whereas, traveling is a big, big thing for me. I love traveling. And I want to be able to share some of that because I think it's really, really important. What do I do with all this money? What do I do with the money that I earn? Right? How does it enrich me? How does it make my personal life worthwhile? Those are the things, right? Those are the things that really, 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 really matter. And so Flinch has said here, create a sub channel. I don't know that a sub channel would work, and then I would have two things to pay attention to, and I don't necessarily want to divide my focus. I want to be able to keep my focus on one thing, but branch out the interests, because even the traveling stuff, you talk about, how is that funded? Well, is that funded from some of my investments that I profit take, or is it funded purely from my business? Is it from business income, or income that I paid myself via my business? But how then have I generated the income for my business? All of these things are money conversations, but in a different guise. And I think that's really important because, yeah, we talk about investing here, but actually, sometimes you're not going to invest all of your money. I don't invest all of my spare money into the market. I don't. I've got a pot of money set aside where I take and do these things, and I replenish and all this kind of stuff. These are important conversations. Life is about balance. How you doing, Andy? Life is about balance, and money is the tool that you use to create the balance that you want. So I want to share a little bit more of how I managed to do that, and how I managed to get my sense of, I guess, security and stability. I'm really, really lucky. I mean, in terms of debt, I have zero debt. And, if you talk about my journey from 10, 15 years ago, I struggled with debt for 15 years. To be in a position where now I have zero debt apart from a small mortgage, I'm in a very, very fortunate place. I don't necessarily have any financial pressures at all. I don't have to do work that I don't want to do. I work because I'm a workaholic, and I've always been like that, but I don't have to do work if I don't want to. I could take a month off right now and I'd be sweet. But how do I get to that balance? Those important like mechanisms, things that you put in place, those things go beyond investing. And actually, well, I say beyond investing, those things come way before investing. So those foundations that you put in place to enable you to invest and for you to enable you to be able to still have a level of comfort and security, those things are fundamentally crucial. And it's taken me 15 years in financial services to learn those things and to implement those things to the point where now I feel extremely comfortable and stable personally from a financial point of view. And I'm very, very lucky given the fact that I used to be homeless. I have lived in hostels. I've lived on the streets. I used to be in debt. Those things are fundamental. But a lot of it is mindset shift. That mindset feeds into my work ethic and why I'm such a workaholic and why I want to do so much and why I want to do X and why, the goals that I'll set for 2023. All of that is here. That's the stuff I want to share more of because I think ultimately watching social media, I feel like that's maybe where more of the value is, not necessarily in the. And this is the thing. Maybe I'll be a little bit controversial now. There are a lot of people talking investment stuff on YouTube. Yeah. What are my USPs? What makes me different? I'm a qualified financial advisor. But when I really get honest with myself, do people care about that? I don't think that people do. I'm a qualified mortgage advisor. Do people really care about that? I don't really think people do. Because if they did, maybe the channel would be a little bit bigger in terms of the views and subscribers. The growth on the channel through 2022 has been actually not anywhere near what I would expect it to be. And so is it because maybe the content isn't sexy enough? And this is the one thing that I've said right from the beginning of the channel. I will never make content just because there are trending themes or topics. If it goes against the way I see the world or my impression of what you should do and my professional opinion of what is right, I'm not going to touch it. Never will. Nothing. No amount of money could make me touch it. And so there has to be something beyond that, right? And I think, again, if I could go back and do anything fresh, I would have taken you more on the journey of, okay, today, guys, I woke up, I'm shooting for Channel 4. I've got to travel from here all the way to this part of the country. I'm stressed out. It's horrible. I'm up at 4 a.m. Or I'm doing Steph Pack lunch. I'm traveling there at like 12 o'clock at night, getting to the hotel at 2 o'clock. I've got to be up at 6. I've got to be in there at 8 o'clock for rehearsals. This is how the day goes. I think, and maybe please do let me know, that's probably what people are going to be more interested in because there's more of a human element to it. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I think because of the journey that I've been on, because people will look at me and be like, oh, you started the channel in 2020, but now you're on TV and you're doing media and all this kind of stuff. Like, wow. I've had people say to me, oh, you're gone. You're big now. And it's like, I'm the same dude. Nothing's changed. For me, nothing's changed. If anything at all, I feel a little bit more stressed out in the fact that, on national TV, I can't afford to get anything wrong. It has to be right. It has to be on point. That's extremely stressful. And that leads me to over prepare. That leads me to question myself, to doubt myself sometimes. And I think that's naturally the way most people, human beings, are. We all doubt ourselves. We all second guess ourselves. We all want to make sure that we put our best foot forward. We all want to make sure that, we don't misrepresent ourselves. I feel that massively because what started as I'm just going to create videos and just share a little bit of what I know has turned into this thing that I never thought it would turn into. And now I feel like there's a responsibility. And I think the journey, I think, is what I would love to be able to share a little bit more with people. If not for the fact that hopefully it inspires someone. And my sincerest hope is that, most of my channel demographic are between the ages of 18 and 34. That's the bulk of the viewership. Most of you are male, so most of you are your younger me's, more intelligent younger me's. And if my journey can inspire you to take the step that you've wanted to take but you've been doubtful of taking, then I think that's really where the win of the channel is. And if by taking that step, you earn really good money, and then you make right decisions with that money by investing, and you set yourself up for the future, that's really what this channel is all about. That's really what it's all about. And so, like I said, I might get this wrong. I really don't know. Um, we'll see. But as they say, if you don't take a risk, some things never happen, right? You've got to step outside of your comfort zone sometimes, because nothing ever grows in your comfort zone. And it's going to be very uncomfortable, and it's going to be very testing trying to do something different in the new year. But I think let's give it a go, because I think it is important. Hey, Kevin, how you doing? Someone's just saying here, I started investing 2 years ago after watching in similar channels. It's a journey and happy to be on it, even though I'm 60 years old. But see, a lot of channels have gone quiet. You know what? And I appreciate you for that. And there is a small group of you who are within your age bracket who watch this channel as well. And ironically, I do look at my audience analytics. Your age group has grown on my channel quite significantly. Before, it was something like 0.5% of my overall views. Now you're creeping around about the 10% mark, roughly, in that age group. And I'm thankful for it. And the last thing you said there, a lot of channels have gone quiet. A lot of channels have gone quiet on investing. And this is where I pivoted the content on the channel quite consciously about 2 months ago, when we started having all of the political issues and inflation and the interest rates and all that kind of stuff, to do more new stuff. Because not only were those topics that people were confused about, but there was a material impact on what was happening in Parliament on, bond markets, on the investment markets, inflation impacting investments, and it's still impacting investments now. I mean, we are solidly heading into a recession right now. But what you will find is that there will be a lot of channels who were either talking about buy this stock, buy this thing. They will go quiet now, because guess what? The season where anybody can make really easy money is gone. Now, it's all about how you position your portfolio in the first place. If you went out and bought individual stocks the entire time, your portfolio is down horrendously right now. I mean, I have individual stocks, but I use a core satellite approach, which I've spoken about here on the channel quite a bit, which is where most of my money is in index funds, in ETFs. My index funds and ETFs are holding up pretty well. I mean, some of them are down 5% roughly, 5%, 8% is what I'm seeing down. My individual stocks, though, are down massively, because they're so much more volatile. So a lot of accounts have gone quiet, because that's what they were talking about. Because guess what? It was sexy at the time to be talking Palantir and Politan and all of these stock picks, right? Because the markets are going up. A monkey, a goldfish, a crab, freaking octopus could have made money in those conditions, right? Now that everything's turned on its head and things are very, very volatile, it's difficult. It's much, much more difficult to make money. And therefore, those accounts will go quiet. But guess what? They will be back. They will be back. Once this recession ends and things start to pick up, the same characters will be back all over again, talking about you should be buying this stock. This stock is going to 10x and blah, 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 blah. And to a certain extent, when the markets are heading into a recession, there's not really much you can do as an investor, certainly for the portfolio that you have anyway, especially if you've invested in index funds and ETFs, because it's the boring stuff, right? But you've got a basket of companies. So if you're in the S&P 500, for example, right? Well, the S&P 500, yeah, some of them are down. Tesla, tech is down big time because high inflationary periods mean that, the future pricing of those businesses suffer. So therefore, the share price right now comes down for tech, across tech. But if you've got the S&P 500, the energy companies are doing really, really well. There are still some companies like Coca-Cola that are still doing really, really well because those are the companies that we absolutely need to survive. And so if you hold those companies in an ETF or an index fund and you've been indexing, investing in index funds and ETFs, there isn't much for you to do. You just got to sit tight. And that is the message: sit tight. As long as you know that you've got your emergency fund in place and you're investing for the longer period of time, you don't need your money in 2-3 years time, because this recession is probably going to last, what they say, in 12 months, maybe even 24 months. As long as you don't need it within that recessionary period, you don't really have that many worries, or you shouldn't have that many worries, because you've set out your stool correctly. What we've seen over the last 2 years, because it's so easy and anyone could have made money, people have taken more risk than they should have done. They've gambled money away. They've put money into things that they shouldn't have put money in. The things that they should have paid attention to, they didn't, because, oh my God, it's just so easy. Like, why do I need to look at that? And then it's like, these things come home to roost. And because the markets are cyclical, you're always going to be in a situation where this happens. I mean, 2007, 2008 was the last big one. Will this one be as bad as that? I hope not. I don't think it will be, because there's a lot of protection and stuff that has happened since then to protect banks specifically and providers. But still, we're in a very, very tough position right now and in for a very, very tough ride. And, a lot of the accounts that have been talking about investing who are not qualified, they've not really got any experience of a market crash. They've never been around this kind of stuff. They've not seen how it impacts people. You could tell that by the way they nonchalantly just talk about on my analysis, this is going to go up by blah, 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 blah. Like, you can cut data any way you want. It doesn't mean it's what's going to happen. Yes, you try and do the research, but unless you're doing thorough research and you're doing it from a point where you're looking at the worst case scenario, which a lot of people kind of skip over, they don't bother looking at, this is what you get. And they go quiet because now there's not a lot of hype stuff to talk about. I mean, Bitcoin's below 17,000 now. Where are all the Bitcoin guys and all the XRP guys talking about this coin and that coin is the one to go and buy and all this kind of stuff? They've all disappeared now, because guess what? We're in a hole. And those guys are probably licking their wounds right now. Even guys in, property. All these guys talk about you should buy this property and that property. You should leverage this. You should leverage that. Well, guess what? Property's taking a bit of a hammering. If you're overexposed on your portfolio in property, then potentially you're screwed, because guess what? You're leveraged to the hilt. I mean, there's a lot of stuff being talked about with Grant Cardone at the moment, saying that he is massively over leveraged on his entire property business. But Grant Cardone has been the guy that people have been lauding for the past 2 to 3 years when the market was booming. Apparently he's in real, real trouble. And I was going to cover it on the channel, but I just can't be bothered, because I don't want to feed into the noise and the narrative. Maybe I should cover those kind of things a little bit more, just to give an opinion. But, investing is tough. It is a journey, and and when I say that, you've got to really understand what you're doing, have clear goals, understand your risk tolerance, your capital, your capacity for loss. Are you in a position to be able to put money into the markets where it might go down 10-15%? Can you afford it, like, financially? When I say this stuff, it's boring. It's like, oh, Pete, you're old, blah, 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 blah. But it's because those are the principles that you learn when you qualify as a financial advisor. And as much as people hate financial advisors, and I am one of them, the reason why I stopped practicing being a financial advisor to do this is on YouTube is to give this information away for free. But people, it feels as though, don't want to hear it because it's boring. It's not the sexy, it's going to make you rich. It's going to make you X amount of money. It's going to make you this. It's going to make you that. But I don't know. I don't know what to tell people. I wouldn't say anything different, because I know that it would be a lie, and I'm not gonna sacrifice my own peace of mind and my own morals to, get more views on the channel and to grow the channel with people who maybe, I guess, I don't know, following me for the wrong reasons, because they expect, I'm going to give them stock tips that it's going to make them rich over a short period of time. That's not how investing works. It just isn't. It's a long term view. And again, you know, I've had people go, oh, you're not very risk averse, are you? Like I fully understand that my own personal circumstances definitely impacts the way I view the world and the way I view investing. I don't have to, and I'm not in the market where I have to make a lot of money really, really quickly. I'm not looking for the 10x's. I'm not looking for the 100x's. I'm not looking for that overnight sensation investment. I'm really comfortable, and I know that taints the way I see the world and the content that I create. There are so many so-called experts on social media now, and a lot of the stuff that they talk about is just a load of fucking shit. And I don't mean to swear, but I just despair. Everyone's got an opinion about something. It's like half the stuff that you're waffling on about is just, it is essentially, it's platitudes, right? You think you're saying something meaningful, but it's like, it's not. And there's just so much of it right now. It's just unfreaking believable. And even when you start looking at what's this new AI thing, chat, CP, whatever it's called, the AI thing where you can literally, right? You can type. Hold up a second. Let me just see if I can show you guys this, because this is freaking nuts. There will be market experts all over the show now because of this one thing, right? It's stupid. And I would encourage you, please be careful. Please, 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 please be careful when you start hearing things online and it sounds so convincing, but you can tell that it's scripted, because this tool is nuts. It is absolutely crazy. I was playing around with it last week, and it's very, very impressive. It's called Chat GPT, right? And if I can, let me see if I can log into this thing, because you have to create an account for it. Let me log in. But I'm telling you, this is where all of your financial experts and all of the guys who are not qualified, all of the guys who want to get some clout on social media, this is what they're going to be using now to create content. Let me just bring this up. And guys, I want you, do me a favor, in the chat, give me a random question about investing or stocks or whatever, right? It can't be give me the current value of blah 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 blah, because this AI hasn't got access to the internet. But give me a question that basically is like a definition of, or explain this. Just put it in the chat. Put it in the chat and I'll show you how this thing works. It's freaking nuts. It's crazy. Whilst I try and get this up, for some reason, what's going on here? Where are we? Oh, there we go. Let's share this. All right. Okay, cool. So let's expand this a little bit. There we go. So this is Chat GPT. Let's have a look and see what questions I've got. Okay, right. Let's have a look at this. Kevin just put in here. Should I invest in pounds or euros? In pounds or euros? Get rid of that X on here. Let's do that E, not W. All right. Look at this thing, right? This is how all of the social media creators in the investments field and all other fields are now going to be coming up with content for social media. And I guarantee you, they will put in, let's think of a really good question. What are the pros and cons of index funds? There we go. These are how these influencers now, who know nothing, are going to get all of their information. I mean, look, I might as well just freaking give up the thousands of pounds that I pay for my qualification to be a financial advisor. I might as well just, give it up right here, right now. And don't get me wrong, this is great. This is great. But what I'm telling you, and the reason why I'm showing this, is because you will have kids, just dudes, like anyone now could be like, okay, what are the pros and cons of an index fund? Here we go. This is their YouTube script. Index funds are investment vehicles that track the performance of a particular market index, such as the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Here are some potential pros and cons of investing in index funds. Number one, diversification. Index funds typically provide broad exposure to a wide range of stocks and other securities, which can help to diversify your portfolio and reduce your overall risk. Sounds convincing, right? This is how. This right here is a great tool, but trust me, you've got to be really, really careful, because this is going to change YouTube, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's tons of accounts that now come online that will just type in stuff on this great thing, then all of a sudden this is their YouTube video script, and then you have people who will follow them and expect them to give you really sound investment tips, guidance, and advice. Like, seriously, it's pretty nuts. It really, really is. It is absolutely nuts. But anyway, that's my rant, because it's a great tool. But I'm just saying that to say, please be careful. Please, 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 please be careful. Particularly when we come out of this whole recession and markets start to boom again. This tool is going to evolve. It's going to get better and better and better. It's going to get more sophisticated. Everyone's going to be an expert. Everyone's going to be creating content, talking confidently, when actually you just Googled this stuff. And Googling stuff doesn't mean that you know what you're talking about. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's just one of those ones. Anyway, let me just have a look at these comments. Where am I? Where was I? Mason, look. You know what? I had a great Christmas. My partner's Polish, so we went to Poland to see her family for 2 days, and it was nice to just be in a different setting, and to be away from work. Well, I did do a little bit of work here and there because I had to, because I had a deadline and stuff I had to meet. But it was nice to get away. It was nice to be able to take 2-3 weeks off. Let's have a look and see what else we've got here. Are you 13? Why did I think that you were like 24, Kev? I kept thinking that you were like 24, 25 max, not 30. When's your birthday? Mate? Let me know. Oh, PM's going to be 50. Okay. Jesus, dude. Okay, cool. I say that my demographic is 18 to 34. Most of it is 18 to 34. That's the biggest chunk. But it's nice to see people who are kind of within. I'm not quite 50. I'm 43 at the moment. But it's nice to see people that are closer to my age bracket on the stream. And Philip just said it certainly inspired me at 60. You know what? It's amazing, because one of the things, so the reason why I wanted to be a financial advisor was I qualified to be a financial advisor in 2015, 16. I was still in Canary Wharf at the time. And in my role in Canary Wharf, I did a lot of work with financial advisors as a consultant. So what we were doing in Canary Wharf was, we were an investment house. We were building pension products. And alongside those pension products, we also had bond products as well. But we were at the forefront of a really innovative pension product, right? This thing was freaking amazing. It was the bee's knees. And we were the first to do it in the UK, and it spurned off a ton of other providers doing exactly the same thing. And part of my role there was to basically sell this new thing to financial advisors who were advising clients on pensions and securing retirement and all that kind of stuff, right? And as a consultant, because it was such a new, groundbreaking, innovative product, I used to talk to advisors around how it actually plugs into their advice process. So when a financial advisor sits down with somebody, they can't just say, "Well, you need to put your money here." They have to make sure that it meets the client's needs and requirements. And because it was so new and so innovative, they were like, "Well, how does this plug into making sure that it meets my client needs and requirements?" So I was a consultant, and I worked with financial advisors for probably about 2.5, 3 years on cases, almost daily, on, right, this is how it will plug in, this is what it will do, this is the income need, this is how it will satisfy that income need. And in sitting in all of these meetings, the one thing that I realized was when they went to go see kind of like elderly clients who were in their, 55, 60, who are really starting to think about retirement, the product that we had was so groundbreaking that think about. So let me just paint this picture for you, right? If you could invest, let's just say 10 grand, and the markets went up this year 10%, and you knew, right, it went up 10%, I'm never going to lose that 10% return that I've gained today, this year. Would you want that? Let me know in the chat, because that's what we were selling. And it was revolutionary, and it delivered so much good value. And what I enjoyed the most when I was sitting there talking to advisors was the fact that the impact for clients was huge. A lot of people approaching retirement, we have a real issue with retirement funding here in this country. The average pension pot is like 50 odd grand, £59,000, something like that. And when you think about what people need to live on, £59,000 in a pension isn't going to be enough. So a lot of the time when you're going into these meetings, it's like, okay, I need this much income. I have no idea where it's going to come from. And when our product is able to fill that gap of saying, right, we can guarantee you X amount of income for life, because that's what we were doing. It was groundbreaking, the product that we had, groundbreaking. We sold a shed ton of this thing. It was groundbreaking. And seeing the impact that it had on customers was what really inspired me. I was like, wow. Like, for someone who was like really worried about how they were going to generate their income, to leaving a meeting and then being like, okay, I know that I've got enough income now and it's guaranteed for life, was like, that for me was the real kicker. That's why I qualified to be a financial advisor. That's why a lot of the stuff that I do now is kind of like, okay, it always goes back to those days of, as a financial advisor, these are the things that we'd look at because they're fundamentally important. And again, I get really passionate about this stuff, and it might sound like really, really boring, but it's nice to see people in the older age bracket on the channel, because believe me, like, if this thing was around, I mean, unfortunately, those products aren't around anymore. Brexit kind of destroyed that completely, because the way the company provided the guarantee around the 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 pension and the bond was they would hedge the liability that they had to pay out for each customer. So, for example, if we knew that there had to be a guaranteed pension of £12,000 per year for every customer, we would hedge a monetary amount for that. When Brexit happened and the pound collapsed, it basically kiboshed the entire way that product worked. It was an expensive product to have because it was so expensive to hedge. But Brexit and the pound tanking as much as it did just meant that it was no longer sustainable. And they pulled the plug shortly after I left. I think they pulled the plug in like 2018, 19 or so. Those products are still around. There are millions of people still locked into those products who will be in retirement right now with a guaranteed pension, guaranteed income for life product. That's the stuff I was selling in Canary Wharf through 2012 to 2017. That was real innovative stuff. Will that stuff ever come back around again? I don't know, but it was expensive, but it did a great, great, great job. And I know I've just gone off on a tangent there, but I just thought that might actually be interesting, because I look back on those days with so much fondness, man. I learned so much. I met some really, really good people who are still friends today. I meet up with them on a regular basis, and when I'm in London, I'm always back in Canary Wharf. And that moment, those 5 years there, professionally for me, were the most rewarding of all. I mean, where I'm at right now, what I'm doing right now is kind of getting there, but that was where I learned so much. I fulfilled a lot of my own personal dreams. It allowed me to get on the property ladder there, and earned a ton of money there as well. Met some really, really good people. It progressed me, it pushed me forward. If I wasn't there, to be honest, I don't think I'd be doing what I do today. So, it's all part of the journey, and I'm thankful for that. But yeah, man, I think it's important to kind of like look back and appreciate where you come from, and appreciate the road that you traveled to be where you are. I hope moving forward into next year, and once I'm able to announce some of the stuff that is already going on next year, I can look back over the YouTube journey specifically and think, okay, I mean, it's been pretty cool as it is, mate. Like to to do national TV, I have to pinch myself. I remember there's been one instance specifically in the last kind of like 2 months or so on Steph's Pack Lunch on Channel 4, where I was like, oh my god, like how am I here? And we had Davina McCall in the studio. Now, bearing in mind, Big Brother, all of the stuff that she's done, like it's Davina McCall, and like she stood right there, and it's like we had a conversation. I'm just like, how, how am I in a studio with Davina McCall right there? I just had a conversation with her. It's mind blowing. It's freaking mind blowing, and it's like it all started from a video on this channel, just trying to give out information, and it's just gone nuts. It's mad. And so, look, I know we've been on here for a while, and there's still a lot of you on here. Thank you so much. But let me just finish on this one note. And I've already said it before, but for those of you who may have joined late, I want to say it again. We are coming towards the end of 2022, and I think it's really, really important to acknowledge. Yes, this year has been challenging, but please sit down if you haven't already and make a list of things that you're thankful for this year, because I promise if you really sit down and really take a look at the things that you're thankful for this year, things that have gone well, you might be surprised at how good a year you've had. And look across it from a career, business, personal point of view, whatever. Just write the things that you're thankful for. And on the opposite side of that, if you do it on a piece of paper, also just note down the things that maybe you wish would have gone better. But don't write down things that you couldn't have influenced. So, for example, cost of living crisis, energy bills. You can't do anything about that. So, don't write those down as things that you wish could have gone better, because there's nothing in the world that you could have done to make it better. And I promise you that in more cases than not, you're probably going to have a ton of things that went well versus the things that you're kind of like, I didn't really like that happening. I wish that went better. And when you look at it that way, you could be encouraged in knowing that actually maybe it wasn't as bad as you thought. And if you take that thought into next year, into your planning, into your goal setting, I think it's a nice stepping off stone or stepping stone to something positive for next year. I'm very, very excited about next year. I really, really am. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of stuff that I have no control over. And that's one of the dangers of running your own business, right? You don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. I have a little bit of financial security, so I know that I don't have to stress, but I still have financial pressures in terms of the business, in terms of, right, I still need to make money to make sure that, I'm not dwindling away my emergency fund and we're still, in a position that's comfortable. But a lot of this stuff can't control. So I can set goals and say, right, this is what I want to do. And that's going to be my North Star. That's going to be my compass. That's going to be the thing that's going to drive me and move me forward. But there's a lot of stuff you can't influence. And I think life is just like that, One of the things that I have to do next year is look after myself a little bit more. I went for a blood test today, just as general checkups. I had chest pains this year, and I lost hair this year, and that was down to stress because, filming for Channel 4 and still doing 2 videos a week and live streams on the weekend and traveling across the country. It's a lot. It's too much. It was way too much. And I haven't looked after myself enough in 2022. I need to correct that in 2023. I'm very, very conscious. I've said this for the last two to 3 years. I am very much a workaholic, but that's something that I need to kind of pay attention to. And so, look, set some goals into next year. If you want to join me on a goal setting workshop, there's a link in the chat. I'll post it in the comments down below after this live is done. But guys, take stock, be thankful for this year, and I wish you all the success for 2023. I look forward to having you guys on the journey with me. I hope that you stick around with me. There will be changes. I know that I'm not going to be able to please everyone, but those are the changes that I think are necessary just to, I guess, provide more value beyond just investing, which can sometimes be quite boring and quite convoluted. Yeah, but I appreciate every single one of you. I'm just looking at the chat right here. December 1st. Okay, Kev. Just turned 29. Okay. Um, Listen, let me just get this comment from Kev. Listen, Gary has done an amazing job, but the thing is, you wouldn't expect him not to. From where he's come and his journey, I mean, his journey is very, very inspiring. And I think, one of the things around social media is, if you can say that you're a millionaire and he is a millionaire, I'm not a millionaire in any way, shape, or form. But the way he made his money is actually quite fascinating. And when you have that as a backdrop, and the fact that he's so down to earth, I mean, he's not like a. I've been around a lot of traders, and a lot of them are just a bunch of freaking assholes. He's not. He's the complete opposite. If you looked at him, you wouldn't even think that. And to see him doing the stuff that he's doing and the way his channel has grown so much this year. And guys, if you're not following Gary Stevenson, just type in Gary Stevenson on YouTube and just go follow. He's one that I'm going to be watching. And I want to do some work with him more in the new year, but it's all just going to be about time and stuff. But he's done a phenomenal job, and we need people like him because the stuff that he talks about, certainly from the viewpoint that he has as a trader, and how economics and policy feeds into what happens on the ground and how it translates into the real world is very, 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 very unique. So yeah, I'm 100% proud of what he's been able to do. But guys, thank you so much. I'll probably see you in the new year. It's 28th right now, so I will see you in the new year. If we do not speak, which we probably won't unless you're on Instagram and I post there, have an amazing new year. I can't wait to deliver more value to you then. But guys, thank you so much. There's still quite a lot of you on here, and I wasn't expecting this. Catch you later on. Cheers.